top one. No one knows because we have no. All right, here's
They
the
don't
question.
know. What's the question?
What's the question?
Can we read it?
What was the worst day of your life?
Oh,
This is such a
When did we start the podcast?
yeah. Like immediate. It was so odd.
Yeah, I mean, this isn't like as obviously this isn't as
That was
big
2015.
Mackenzie's thing, but the listeners of the podcast don't really know, but you guys do.
Hey everyone, it's Justin from the Calm Down It's Fine podcast. It's officially my turn to leave the intro, so here we go. I just want to remind you all that this is the most popular podcast in all of Delmarva, probably, I guess. Anyway, we would like to invite you to like, share, and subscribe to this glorious endeavor that we've embarked on. Also, leave a comment, give us a rate. If you have not rated the podcast at this point, you are a failure in all things at work and at home. Send us an email, leave a review, tell your friends, start a cult, whatever it takes to get this thing moving. Well, anyway, let's get on with it then.
I love in the one intro that you recorded. You said, "How are y'all doing?"
Like somebody was gonna
I was like-
answer.
They're gonna be like, "We're good though. Yeah, we're good.
You
Thanks,
should- you
man.
should have thrown that in there.
It's refreshing to hear someone ask about us. You know."
I care about our
Do-
not congregation. That's not the word.
Well, sort of.
following
Yeah, there it is.
congregation.
Speaking of cults,
Yeah,
Our
speaking of
comrades.
cults, do you want me to ask one of these cult questions I wrote down?
might as well. Let's just get into it.
Let's hit the question first
What's the question?
for humans.
All right.
Okay, yeah.
So, what's
The
up,
thing-
guys?
the-
It's been a
the-
week.
The segment we introduced last episode and then never got to.
Yeah, it's okay. So
We haven't
basically,
had a segment
if
to
we're
stick.
if we're coming into the we did those segments for like I guess
I mean, we did them for a while, but
for a while, yeah. So these
we don't have anything that's
we're still sitting at the
stayed.
same table that we were recording at 3 minutes ago. We hit record again. We had to clear the SD card,
and
'cause-
no one can tell.
Yeah, so this is going to be episode the
80
second, basically of.
85.
But we have not left the table. So what we were talking about last week, we're still talking about. We were just talking
Yeah,
about
'cause it's not
Popeyes.
actually. See, we are now operating in the time frame of God. So
Yeah, future.
we look at all instances of time at the same
That's what we do.
lens.
Yeah. Even though this has come from the guy who
Like-
doesn't know who he's told what to.
Like I don't. What's Interstellar like in that?
I never saw that.
What, dude?
Not interested in space
Isn't
at
that
all.
guy like
so.
a name Ben Stiller? I'm just joking. All
What?
right,
No, that's Matthew
so we're gonna
McConaughey.
do this card game that I have. I got it for Christmas. Dr. Dave Deloney. He's actually
You're welcome.
a Ramsey personality.
Yep.
And he's a doctor, and he's like not like a doctor, like a psychologist
He's
doctor.
a tooth doctor.
So basically, these
just
are
kidding.
questions for humans that are supposed to have you put down the phone, stop listening to the podcast, except ours, of course.
Except ours, you just
And they're
keep that
just
thing on.
questions for the guys. So here we go.
Are we going to do so? Here's what
Huh?
I'm thinking. If this is going to be a recurring segment, should we just do one an episode, or do you want to do 3 an
I don't
episode?
think it's going to be every episode that we're going to do it, though.
We're
Well,
gonna,
I'm not saying it has to be. I'm
Well,
just-
I think we should go through each one, do one, see how long it takes, see if we like
Yeah.
it,
Okay.
and then we'll do it randomly.
we're figuring it out
pick
together.
the random one from the middle when you do it.
Okay,
Just make it spicy. I don't know.
All
Just
right.
make it spicy.
here you go.
Make it
I like
spicy.
card games. You
Make
pick
it spicy. He
I'll read
said.
the first
cut the deck and then you go from the middle.
because we can pick the top one. No one knows because we have no. All right, here's
They
the
don't
question.
know. What's the question?
What's the question?
Can we read it?
What was the worst day of your life?
Oh,
This is such a
When did we start the
Ooh.
podcast?
yeah. Yeah.
Was it the day you
Dustin,
got
go
on the
ahead.
wrong bus?
Yeah.
No, well, not that. If you mean by wrong bus, the Greyhound on Fort Benning, Georgia. Yeah, that was.
That's tough, dude.
That was the first day of basic training at Sand Hill. Was the most miserable day of my entire life. There's no question about it. I would go back to Afghanistan in a heartbeat. I don't ever want to have to redo basic training.
You're basic.
I
don't
can see
care.
how that would be. That would be
That's a
a
good
miserable
one.
time.
That was it's so they have everything broken up into different segments. There's phases. So like the first 3 weeks are red phase. That's supposed to be the hardest. My drill sergeant, though, is Drill Sergeant Keith Hubner. He is I still have nightmares about him sometimes. He's a terrifying man.
Sometimes I have nightmares about him, and he has Mackenzie's face. Wait a minute.
He said we were his last cycle as a drill sergeant. So he told us that
Mackenzie.
he said that he was going to make
Whose nickname's the sergeant?
our cycle his most memorable, which did not mean good things for us. And the first day, he's like, "Do you guys want to be a smart ranger or a strong ranger?"
Well, did he lie? Was it the most memorable?
There's no way anyone else could have had more memories than we did. But and then some idiot in our platoon was like, "We want to be smart rangers," and he was like, "Got it." And then ever since then, it was miserable. But
I don't understand
that.
Why wouldn't you want to be a smart ranger?
Yeah.
Well,
I want to be a big boy.
You don't answer questions like that. And
I think it's a rhetorical thing.
Yep.
You just don't wear headphones anymore?
Huh?
You just don't wear headphones anymore?
He's not feeling it.
I'm my own man.
Anyway, the first 3 days, the Army got rid of it now, but it used to be called the Shark Attack. And it's supposed to be, of all of your time spent at basic, it's supposed to be the most nonsensical, just straight down your throat, screaming at you, throwing stuff at you, pushing you, just this craziness happening. They bring bullhorns with them everywhere. They're screaming at us while we're eating. Like, it was like this whole thing, throwing food at us, taking our trays, hucking it across the cafeteria, like nuts. I don't remember like actual things. I just remember like tidbits. Like, it's so like it was so stressful. I did like my brain blocked it out.
Huh.
That's pretty bad.
Yeah.
What's your worst day?
How about you first, buddy?
I don't know what my worst day is. I have obviously people have bad days. Like, I've had friends pass away. I've had family members pass away. I totaled my car while I lived in Connecticut and then walked around the city for a year.
What about when you lost Jezebel?
Wasn't heartbroken over that very much.
You wish you had a tennis racket and a trampoline.
I don't know. Like, I've had some rough days, but I don't know. I'm a relatively positive guy, so I don't particularly focus on. I'd say my bad days that much.
If I didn't have basic training, I don't know what I would have.
There's been a lot of days I can point to during like church stuff. I remember when our church blew up in Frederica. Like, that was a really rough.
Yep, gas leak, crazy thing.
Not like that, like, just the church split, whatever. But I guess the worst day that I can really think of is the day after Christmas, 2014.
Oh, yeah.
Kenzie went to the doctor, and they said, yeah, she's gonna die because there's so much cancer. It's like
I'm
black
glad I was not a part of it then.
Yeah,
I remember where I was.
I was at Chick-fil-A in Dover, and they thought she had pneumonia, so they took her to the doctor. So me and Meredith and Kaz were at the Chick-fil-A in Dover because they were doing return. We were doing returns the day after Christmas.
You were at Chick-fil-A. I was right across the street from you then.
That's crazy.
Because I was standing in Dick's Sporting Goods at the Dover Mall.
Yeah. So my parents and us, we all went to do returns. For day after Christmas, we always would do that. And so they took her to the doctor, her pediatrician. She was 21, and she still went to the pediatrician because it was like, she's really sick here. And then she did the X-ray, and just her whole chest was black, like it was just consumed.
Right.
T-cell lymphoblastic lymphoma.
Mm-hmm.
But we got the phone call in Chick-fil-A, and they said it's cancer. Like, it's supposed to be pneumonia, and it's all over. And that whole week, we thought like, it was like from that day from a week after that, her whole like side was blown out.
Right.
It was insane. So, she finally got the right doctor. We went to Christiana, then we went to CHOP. She got accepted to CHOP. They hit her on the chemo. 3 years of chemo, but that day was, that was it.
Yeah.
I remember everything about that day. We went home, and we went over to Grandma and Grandpa's house, which they live right next to us. We slept there that night.
Yeah.
We bawled. I downloaded Clash of Clans.
I do remember that story as well. I remember I was in Dick's Sporting Goods with Josh Ryman, and when the prayer chain like just exploded throughout, we were standing in Dick's Sporting Goods, and like I look at my phone and I was just like,
yeah,
what?
I think I was.
Wow.
You guys were probably.
I was 17 or 18.
By the time my phone rang, you guys probably weren't at Chick-fil-A anymore. But
yeah.
I imagine. We were at the mall just kind of hanging out. So.
Now, like 6 months later, my mom's mom, who was she was like 76,
right.
super young 76. Like she got diagnosed with lung cancer. So my mom's daughter is dying, like has cancer, no hair, whatever. Super clinical trial, chemo, because it's so aggressive. And then her mom gets diagnosed with lung cancer. And her mom ends up dying.
Right.
Super fast, like within 6 months of being diagnosed. And she wasn't supposed, like she was young, but her husband, like my pawpaw, smoked forever.
Yeah.
Right.
And so she had that second hand, whatever. So they said, all right, we're going to have to hit this with chemo for like 2 months. We're going to have to come back, whatever. So I drove mom down to North Carolina. These are 2 really hard days. I drove
a downer of a
I know.
question.
Yeah, I drove mom to North Carolina. I was like 19 or 20. And they were looking at the results from the chemo that they did for my grandma. And we sat in the room and they said, I was sitting there with my mom, my grandma, and they said, yeah, the chemo didn't work. So you have about 3 months. And seeing my mom and my Meemaw, that's what we call her, that was different. And especially then knowing my sister is back home in the bed right now because she's on chemo too. It was a very dark, very and then she ended up dying.
But then fast forward, and in a couple months, Mackenzie's willingly taking on a different type of tumor.
several years later.
Yeah.
Thanks for bringing us out of that. But those were 2.
Yeah,
I remember getting the call.
I want to nix what I said from the record because I don't.
Well, then
I know, like I'm sitting here and I'm thinking about it. Like I've had bad days. Like
I've never
the day when
anything.
I'd get a phone call in the morning.
Well, my grandma died. That was sad, but it was like I feel like that's almost like everyone. At some point, your grandparents are gonna.
So my grandpa, whichever you knew, my grandpa, he was.
But she died at like 62. So that
grandpa he was splitting wood at 82, 2 days before he died, or whatever. But he lived next to us. Just awesome. Michael Shane came and preached for us one Sunday. Dad was preaching in the prison.
I think I was supposed
probably.
to, but I had to do stuff at our church.
So we went out to eat. We get a call. Grandpa is on the ground at home. So we went over there, and he had a stroke, and he was there on the ground, and he was like looking around like dazed. That was hard too because I'm sitting there, and it's my dad's dad, and I love Pop, but he's like looking at us, but dazed, wasn't there, and we put him in the ambulance. One day later, he was gone.
I would say
that was tough too. There's a lot of tough.
When my grandma died, it was like sorry.
No.
It was very out of nowhere. She went to the Salisbury Zoo with my aunt, the one that lived in Greensboro, and they were there. She left early. She wasn't feeling that great. Like no one thought anything of it. And then a couple hours later, like no one had heard from her. So my grandfather called her sister, who lived right around the corner, was like, just go check on her. And they went in the house and they found her dead. Right. She had a heart attack. Oh. And like she just knew that, like, from what we gauged from it, she just knew that she was probably gonna die. So, or it's like there was something like, she had issues, like heart issues and stuff. So, but it was like, and then we got the call and we're like, what? Like, it was like just like that, like immediate. It was so odd.
Yeah, I mean, this isn't like as obviously this isn't as
that was
big
2015
Mackenzie's thing, but the listeners of the podcast don't really know, but you guys do. Nikki had some like really big health problems last year.
It was scary.
Yeah, and like I didn't really talk about it, but I remember like getting a phone call, like, hey, your wife just like got pulled over by the cop, and he called an ambulance for her because she's swerving because she's passing out and she can't breathe. And we went for, it was a long year trying to figure out what the issues were. And we didn't get the worst news. We didn't get great news, but we didn't get the worst news. Like the thing that I was like, I was really scared. We thought it was a rare type of cancer, but that's not what happened. And instead she has a different thing going on. And we did a pretty good job keeping it quiet. Mr. Drama over here decides to cause a scene at teen camp.
Wait, what happened?
Not you. No, I'm talking about Nikki.
You said Mr.
I said, oh, did I say?
You
I
did
said
say, you said
Oh,
Mr.
me.
You said Mr.
Oh, well, no, Mrs.
Yeah, I was getting
Mrs.
confused.
Dramatic over here causes a scene at teen camp. I'm joking. I'm sure she's
You're
going
not
to
going
text
to tell
me.
the story now?
No, she was having some issues and she ended up passing out, and Cameron was
Her arch enemy.
yeah, Cameron, her rival in all things, was the only help close by, and the next thing I know, like I've got people in my ear because I'm sitting on the other side of the building with the boys, and they're like, "Hey, your wife's passed out outside." And I was like, "What?" So,
wait, what time is it? 3? Yeah, she's probably had a couple.
yeah. That makes sense.
But
About time.
but we kept it. We kept it.
You got to elaborate on the story more now that you're finally telling the story.
so
That's a funny story.
She was having an issue. She walks outside. She's super lightheaded, and
from the tabernacle, is at camp.
Yeah,
she walks outside from the tabernacle. I'm outside with Kaysen. My wife walked away to the
door, like the dorm.
She went to go get a diaper for Kaysen.
Yeah,
Kaysen's like 5 months old at this point,
and Nikki just
eats it. She walks out and just falls. I watch her just walk out and just, and I have Kaysen. I'm like, oh my gosh! I run over there. There's grass. Kaysen's a newborn. I lay him in the grass. And Nikki's laying there, and I'm like, I have to be sweet. I'm like, Nikki, are you okay? Nikki, hello, Nikki. And I had to get her conscious.
Yeah, dude. So I come running outside. My wife's in the arms of another man.
And she opened her up. So I had to prop her up, and I had to, lean her up and put her against me. And I was like, she finally came to, and she's like, what in the world? It's me sitting there, and she's leaning up against me on her, just sprawled out, and I'm like, "You're okay." She's like, "What happened?" I'm like, "I don't know."
Luckily,
that was so
I say
funny
luckily, but
what you said.
My
arms, the pipe in the arms.
So I woke up and it's Cameron.
Yeah, so
saved your life, Nikki.
Praise the Lord.
Praise me.
Miss D was out there, and Miss D is.
That was the worst day of my life.
Yes,
having to console Nikki. I'm just joking.
So Misty goes in there.
I had to hold Nikki in my arms. That was the worst day of my life.
We just milked this for forever.
Misty immediately goes into interrogation mode, as she should, right? She's like the nurse, and she's hitting us with all the health questions, and then she stops in the middle of like the interrogation, and she stops as she looks at me, and she goes, "Who knows about this?" And I go, everyone who's in this room right now. And she's like, "Are you serious?" And I went, "Yeah." And she goes, "Your church doesn't know." I was like, "No, we've kind of been." I was like, "Cameron knows, and now his dad knows, and then now you know, but really we've been." And I mean, Bethany and Eric know. And then she was like, "Okay, well, I'll keep it to myself." And it was a long year of prayer.
Wow.
And it was a really hard, rough year. Our youth group, the teens that we took to camp, had no idea. So like, there's a commotion outside, and now the teenagers are like, "What's wrong with Miss Nikki?" And and it's like, it's fine, just But that was a rough year. So I would say the phone call of like, "Hey, your wife's in the emergency room, and we don't know what's wrong, and we probably won't know what's wrong for a while." Like, that was probably the worst day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's gut wrenching.
Yeah, wow. That was a rough one.
There was we had a early stage miscarriage, which was, brutal. Like,
dude, this is the saddest episode of a podcast ever.
But it wasn't like 12 weeks, 13 weeks. It was in the first like 5 weeks.
Dang,
and
I didn't
we
even
had
know that.
Yeah, we didn't tell anyone yet. We were like getting ready to and it was
wow.
Like, that was not fun. It's like, so and people go through this. People go through that all the time.
All the time.
I hear all the time if someone had a miscarriage,
Right.
And as a guy, I just never was like, "Oh,
it never
just
really."
But that's probably the most underrated, overrated, underrated. Probably the most underrated when someone has a miscarriage, they feel like you've lost a kid.
Yep.
I mean, if it is for the girl, I mean, it's just devastating. It's like, I mean, all your hopes and dreams, you don't know if it's like, you don't know if it's going to happen again. If
right.
And so many people struggle with that and not being able to get past a certain time. But yeah, so that happened. And man,
I didn't even know that. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. But that was thankfully, I mean, we were able, we have Kason, so it's fine.
I'm still not convinced you didn't just steal from someone else.
My old youth pastor, his wife, they had 2 miscarriages before they were at it.
It's brutal.
But now they've got they have
700
got
children.
a whole bunch of kids.
I don't mean to whatever, but they do say a lot of before you had your first. I mean, a lot of people have a miscarriage first. Yeah. A lot of people do, right. But it still doesn't. We had it planned where we were going to tell our families.
I don't really think there's anything that can prepare you for that.
There's no way to.
We had it planned out. We were going to tell our families on these days, and then it was like, oh no, there's nothing. We don't have anything. And then the pain your wife is in. It's like, this is the worst feeling. I mean, it was miserable. We stayed in bed. We literally just.
I'm about to ask.
It was on a Friday night, and then Saturday. We just didn't do anything.
I'm about to ask a question that I hope's not insensitive.
Okay.
And we can cut it out if you want. The plans that you had, did you use those same plans for Kason or?
Yeah.
You did?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well, we didn't know boy or girl yet. Are you talking about like name and stuff?
No, like you said you had plans on how you were going to tell the family and stuff. And then you had to kind of.
Well, no.
Did you because I don't know if personally.
We were within a day or two of telling because it was going to be to where we were within a day or two, and I don't remember how we were going to do it. We kind of came up with the plan of telling our family, like her parents came here and we weren't sure how we were going to tell them, but then I just said, look, my phone screencast of the TV, this is pretty cool, and it was a picture of us.
Oh, okay.
And then my parents, it was just like kind of like, how do we tell them? And we were coming back from Seattle, and so we were just excited because we found out when we got back.
Right.
And then so we just went to their house, and my brothers and sisters weren't there, and so we were just saying like, hi, we're catching up, we haven't seen you in a week, and we gave them gifts, and it was like whatever. And then the next day was Sunday, and I brought up the old high chair when Dad prayed. I said, Dad, I want you to pray over the meal, and I'm going to run to the basement and get the family high chair. And so he prayed. When it was done, I had the high chair. Then I was like, we're going to need this, and they were like, oh, whatever. So no, it was fine, but yeah, no, that I really feel that the not knowing what people go through until you've gone through it. I was so naive.
Yeah.
It hurt so bad, and I feel for anyone who I hear that now, I'm like, oh,
yeah,
listen,
for sure.
Text the guy.
Well, and that's
I'm texting the guy saying, dude, I'm so sorry.
That's definitely one of those things is like when I hear something like that, brutal. I immediately I'm like, I'm going to go sit in the corner over there because I don't know how to be a part of this conversation. Right. And I don't want to say something stupid.
Hopefully, no one finds that out. Or
can we
feel that.
Can we pick a different question?
Yeah, well, we got 22 minutes out of that. No, I mean, it's good. It's good. God helps us through it all, and God grows us through it all.
We're a comedy podcast.
Here you go.
People are going to listen to this.
Pick wherever you want.
I'm just going to pick from the top, just a bug.
Sorry.
Dustin.
This is so.
Is this a sad one? If this is a sad one,
no, this is a good one. Listen. I already know the answer. Would you last longer in a fight with a grizzly bear or a gorilla?
What?
Oh, dude, this is
our spirit.
Right here, baby.
All right.
Would I last longer against a grizzly in a fight? Which means
I already know my answer.
Aggro has already started. Like it's not like I'm running away. Like
no, you were actively engaged in a fight with a gorilla and a grizzly bear.
I would last longer against a grizzly bear.
I was going to say the same thing.
And here's the only reason why. Because truthfully, a grizzly bear is probably the most dangerous and powerhouse animal.
People have been comparing grizzly bears and gorillas for forever.
And let's be honest, grizzly bear would win that fight. It's a grizzly bear is a stupid, huge monster of an animal.
It's insane, yeah.
But
gorillas.
grizzly bears in general, they eat you alive.
Yep.
Yes, please.
Yeah, I would. Yeah.
Grizzly bears, they play with you, like they keep you alive while they eat you, and
so even if I'm not doing I'd still physically last
I'm
longer.
going to be alive longer.
I have seen so many I Survived shows of people getting attacked by a grizzly.
Not gorilla though.
Gorilla, I've never seen one.
No.
Because even one hit, you're dead. Like,
It doesn't.
it's
You
just
understand?
like, it's
that
like getting
animal,
hit by a truck.
Yeah, because
That's
it's an animal that weighs 4 times as much as you, with like infinitely more testosterone than you.
With a grizzly, I feel like you're going to get shredded, picked apart, pulled apart, thrown, mauled, and then you're eventually going to die.
Yeah, you're going to...
Unless they hit you right in the head, neck, whatever. But chances
you're going to die. Well, see, the thing is, the difference is a bear will eat you, a gorilla will not.
Right.
But the gorilla is so strong that he's going to bonk you on the head and send you straight to the shadow realm.
Dustin, how many people survive gorilla attacks a year?
I'm getting there. What is 270? The average gorilla weighs 270 kilograms. I don't know what that is. Oh my gosh.
It weighs, I think that's more than me.
2 pounds.
Yes, yes.
270 kilograms to pounds is 600 pounds.
Lightweight.
Average gorilla size.
Just let me ask you this.
I used to make a protein shake called
This might be the stupidest question ever, but where are gorillas?
Where?
Where?
The
country?
zoo.
Is it
It's Africa.
Is it Africa?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the only place?
I don't think they're anywhere else. I'll look. Hold on. How many people?
Dude, I saw a meme today and it said, "Do you pronounce it data or data?"
Data.
I think it depends on the sense. Kind of like the word the.
But
I say the or the
and then
depending
the
on the
comment
sense.
below was, "I cannot believe I just said the same word 2 different ways." Think about it.
Because it's spelled out the exact same.
Dada or data. But you read it.
Data
And if you read it, do you read it data or data? Isn't that weird?
That is interesting.
And that was the whole meme was like, you just read that 2 different ways.
Well, I was listening to Nateland and they were talking about a candy called Reese's Pieces.
Yep.
Right? And a Reese's, I always call it a Reese's cup.
Reese's Pieces.
Right? I've always called it a Reese cup. But it's Reese Piecey. Piecey's not a word.
Reese's Pieces.
So it's Reese's Pieces. And it blew my mind. I was like, dude, have I been calling this Reese cups, but they're just Reese's cups?
Reese's cups.
Reese's cups.
Instead of Reese cups.
That's how, yeah, because it's plural. So it's Reese's, because Reese is the guy. So it's Reese's cups. My entire life I've been calling them Reese cups because I'm a fool.
David, we've been saying this.
Wow.
What, Reese's cups?
You're a fool.
I'm looking up gorilla stuff. I missed entirely what he said. This is insane.
This guy's on a wild goose.
I'm terrible. I am, of all the animals on the earth, I'm more scared of gorillas than any of the others.
How many gorilla?
They're too.
Gorilla's
it's just
terrifying.
too much of an animal.
I mean, a grizzly bear.
Why is everything in killer? I mean, a grizzly bear.
A grizzly bear would win the fight, right? Between a gorilla and a grizzly bear.
I've looked it up. I think it ended up being the gorilla. I think the gorilla won.
What?
I'm pretty sure.
No, I think a grizzly bear would win, right?
No,
how many people die from gorillas each year?
I looked it up. So there's not.
It's got to be more than 12.
There's not enough contact between gorillas and people for there to be much of a statistic.
How accurate do you think the movie Tarzan is?
As far as
it's a joke, it's a joke. No, don't take me seriously.
I don't
it's
think
like
it's
there's
accurate
Tarzan and a gorilla flying through the air at each other.
So they clothesline each other.
No, that gorilla would have eaten that baby.
I think a grizzly bear would win that fight.
I know that there's been a lot of tests on that, like at least like theoretical ones.
Why don't you just get a couple and put them in a ring?
What I'm saying, I think that a grizzly bear is more deadly than a gorilla. What I'm saying is giving the.
I think it was because of how sturdy I guess the gorilla was in order putting up with attacks from the grizzly bear was the idea, and then the fact that while they're both strong, the gorilla is so much stronger that it would just obliterate
Is it so? I don't know if it's so much stronger.
Yeah, it's a lot. I mean, so this is what
if a gorilla
a silverback gorilla
got gorilla stats.
is in fact stronger than 20 adult humans combined. I'll have to get more information on that.
That's just the general human. That's not like me.
As they can lift or throw up to 815 kilograms. Now, 815 pounds is a lot. 815 kilograms is a lot.
A lotter.
8 or 15.
So a gorilla weighs 600 pounds, you said?
That was what the one thing said, but that 1,796 pounds is what a gorilla can lift up off the ground and throw.
Is how much?
1,796 pounds.
A grizzly bear has a biting force of 1,000 psi.
That's a lot.
You got to get that mouth around the gorilla.
That can split your body in half in a matter of seconds.
I feel like the gorilla on full charge could just really tackle a grizzly bear. It's going to take some cuts.
Yeah.
But I feel like he's going to pick him up, hit him, punch him, and just by the sheer brute force.
Let's see what the... a bite from a gorilla can cover about 1,300 pounds per square inch. What was the...
1,000.
So the gorilla has a higher biting force, 1,300.
Adult grizzly bears...
They eat grass.
I know. It's so wasted.
Adult grizzly bears can be at about 8 feet long and weigh up to 900 pounds.
This would be a good fight, dude.
A grizzly bear? That would be...
They also have claws, which I was not thinking about. Grizzly bears...
That's all I was thinking about.
Grizzly bears can run 35 miles an hour.
Gorilla, not silverback gorilla before.
What? Grizzly bears can run 35 miles per hour and sustain speeds of up to 28 miles per hour for 2 miles.
What a situation.
I don't want to...
Bro, 2 miles, 28 miles an hour? You're not getting away.
That's a problem.
The only thing I know about bear attacks is that you want to run downhill.
Why?
Because
it increases your speed.
No, because their back legs are so much stronger than their front legs that when they run downhill, they have to go sideways because their back legs are so strong.
Right, I've seen that on videos.
They'll face plant because their back legs are so strong. When they push off, they're just they get too much momentum. Zigzag. Yeah.
Hey.
So if you're running but if you're running uphill,
Delaware, you're done.
Yeah. Done.
You have to run to Dustin's dunghill.
Well, listen, if you come across a grizzly bear in Delaware, somebody messed up the whole state, long before.
The whole state's just gone.
Because it was just destroyed.
You get people coming down from Jersey over the Delaware Bridge and just sees mass chaos. It's like I Am Legend, just nothing.
But that's why grizzly bears can run uphill crazy fast, or just bears in general. And then they can also climb trees really well because their back legs are so strong. But if you run downhill, they're like...
What if they say, hey, I'm not going to run. I'm going to just match this person's speed at 14 miles an hour. And I'm just going to walk down the hill with this guy.
That's ridiculous, bro. Grizzly bears are dumb.
All right, David, it's your turn. We done with this?
Here, I guess David.
Here, David.
Scared of gorillas.
I'm picking up a picture of a grizzly bear.
But me on a grizzly or David on a gorilla?
Oh. Me, I win.
Shh.
I got that. I'm that guy. I'm him.
You got that dog in you?
Yeah.
You just don't got that dog like I got.
Dude, grizzly bears are just...
Look up. Here's a good fun look up for you. Type in grizzly bear mauling pics. I'm joking.
No. Dude, look at this thing, man.
Dad burn.
They're just biggest ever grizzly bear. Oh.
This is
all right, guys.
A to Z animals. Silverback.
Yeah, we got distracted.
Silverback gorillas versus grizzly bears. Who would win in a fight? Key points. There are many similarities between the silverback gorilla and the grizzly bear. Both are considered powerful and dangerous animals. Although these animals may share some of the same traits, they are both very different. Both animals tend to shy away from humans, but will attack if agitated enough. There are many people know them or refer to them as silverback gorillas. The term silverback is... I thought you wanted to know. Whatever.
I muted him. And we're back.
I don't want to read this one.
What is it?
Pick it up.
Pick a different one.
All right.
Here, read that.
What's the best book you've read recently?
The Bible.
Thank you.
Matt Walsh.
That one over there? Did you finish that?
No.
Oh. It smells like gummies.
I just have a good book right there called Fitly Spoken. Very convicting. Dustin needs to read it.
Here we go.
Unfitly spoken.
Wow. Okay. Shots fired. Pew pew. What are the top 3 life skills every guy should know?
Number one,
cooking.
Skills. Are we talking about actual skills, not like behaviors?
I'm talking about. I was thinking like manly stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
That's what I was gonna do.
Right. Are we talking like a generality?
Number one,
thing?
guys, you gotta know how to change a tire.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I think
that's a
it's
solid
number
one.
Yeah.
I mean,
You don't need to know like.
take it into like it's year 2024, because guys get by without knowing how to.
Correct,
needing to
but
know
I'm
how to
saying-
do it.
I still think it's necessary.
Obviously, having the skill of being able to change a tire 120 years ago doesn't matter. But right now,
Yeah.
change a tire.
Does he need to though? That's what I'm saying. Is like
Yeah, you gotta know how to change a tire.
there's people who can do that.
Do you not know how to change a tire?
No, I do.
Okay.
I do, but I'm saying
Yes,
is
but
like,
when you
if
don't
we're
have,
talking
when you
about,
don't have AAA and you're out in the middle of
What is
nowhere.
it?
why are we talking top 3 skills?
Yeah.
You're gonna put changing a tire over knowing how to like cook yourself a meal.
Yes.
I don't know how to cook.
That's what the women are for.
I know how to
But you
cook
don't.
breakfast.
But you don't have a woman.
He's like, boy, I'm working. About to.
No,
wipe
I
her up."
still think that. I mean, you
That's
can,
fine.
Like,
That's fine. We don't have to
whatever.
all agree.
Yeah.
Tire. Number 2 would be. I feel like every man should at least. I don't know the trade, but you got to have a. I feel like a man should try and learn a trade, so you
Yeah.
can fall back on.
I was I think all of mine are gonna have to do with cars. I was gonna say change oil.
Well, that would be a trade. Is like mechanical.
Changing oil. See, I haven't changed my oil in forever.
But you need to know how to change a tire.
I do know how to change it. I mean,
Oil
I can
doesn't make your list, but tires do.
I can change the oil though. I know
say
how
both.
to. So, but I
Fair.
don't feel like that's a life skill you need to have. But changing it, you don't run out of oil on. Some people do, but you don't run out of the oil on the side of the highway and say, "Hey, I need an oil change." Tire is indefinite. Your
All right,
tire.
So
blew.
you've got tires. You've got.
Or I would just say
The second one doesn't work. Tire. What do you have?
that's my genuine thing. I'm sticking with it.
You got 3.
Oh, the third one?
Yeah.
What are the 3 top?
What are the top 3 life skills
What do you have,
every
Dave?
guy should
Dave,
know?
what do you got?
I've got 2 off the top of my head. One is cooking. Like I feel like you should know how to feed yourself. Like you don't have to be like a chef. Like my wife is a good cook. I am not. But if my wife leaves for a week, I'm going to get by.
Yeah, but yes, I can cook burgers, I can cook steaks, I can cook eggs, bacon. So I feel like that qualifies. So that doesn't. But
I feel like it's more of a natural thing.
Yeah, I mean, any Joe Blow can turn on the grill and throw steak on there and wait for it to get salt and pepper, wait for it to get a little red, and then be like, "That's done," or burger. So I don't think that's a skill, though. Like a skill, cooking is cooking.
Feeding yourself is a skill.
No, it's not, dude. Come on, that's what you need. That's the bare basics to survive.
Huh?
Like anyone, if my baby,
So you don't
knows he has to eat.
Okay,
he
so it's
feeds
the
it.
bare basics to survive. Meaning it's one of the most important things you need to learn.
Okay, well, it's not going to be like important, son.
Yeah, but like
here's a lesson I want to teach you.
A child can feed
Son,
itself.
We're looking at this question
Son.
very differently.
We are.
Son, here's something I want to teach you.
But
Here's how to cook.
We're talking about being a man that like you learn how to eat when you're a
Yeah.
kid.
No, everybody knows how to eat.
Or
I'm
how to
saying
cook.
you need to know how to feed yourself.
Right. I know how to
Dude,
cook eggs when I was like 9.
skill for me to learn how to cook eggs.
Honestly,
It's
Yeah.
not a skill.
okay, well,
I got some skills. I can cook some eggs.
it's not a skill.
No.
It's not a skill.
No.
No.
Okay, because I 100% I could literally I will go grab a 13-year-old boy from my church right now and be like, cook Cameron a meal. No help, cook him a meal.
He'll
And
cook
we'll see if
something.
and we'll see if you make it.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter if
See,
it
I make it.
But we're not arguing.
Like not make the food. We'll
We
see if
That's what I'm
are
saying.
not-
Are we talking about to the point of you're a chef, or we have to eat?
if it's edible.
Like
We're
bacon,
talking about
eggs,
survival.
toast. That's what I'm talking about. Bacon, eggs, and toast. That's a meal. Can you make that? And I knew how to make
Yes.
that at 3.
I know how to
A
make
man
it.
ought to know how to shoot a gun.
I was going to
There we
say
go.
that was thinking
Well,
that too.
I was
That's what
going to
it
be a
was.
little more broad.
Okay.
That was my second one. Was a
Defend
guy,
the family. Defend
A
yourself.
guy should know self-defense.
Yes. Yes. You should be. There should be a certain characteristics
a man
about you.
should have fight in him.
Yes.
If you have
That's not a
fight,
skill. A man should
A
know
man should-
self-defense.
That's a fair point. That's a
yeah.
good character
There's a lot
trait.
of guys
Yeah,
that
skill.
fight in them.
Yeah, yeah,
They
yeah.
cannot defend themselves. A guy should know self-defense, whether that be a gun, or whether that be a martial art that you've dedicated yourself
or
to
being
learn
a
how
lumberjack.
to.
A guy should be able to change a tire, and a guy should know some self-defense, whether that be able to handle a gun, able to fight, whatever.
In the realm of cooking, I will agree with you. I said that a tire isn't that necessary because people know how to do it. I guess you could apply the same logic to cooking. So
I feel like a guy should be.
I will
athletic.
concede. I will concede on my cooking thing because I still don't think.
Well, there are plenty of men that don't know how to do it, which is I don't understand. Which I don't understand.
Let's see how useful these are. Here's the 3 things.
Okay.
Change a tire.
Okay.
Have an ability.
We all agree self-defense.
Self-defense. And
I guess
athletic. I know. I don't.
I say are relatively handy.
But
don't
that's
know how
very
you
broad.
That.
3 skills.
So
I don't think athleticism is a skill.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you train, but that's you can't really. That's really unnecessary.
Couldn't you file that under self-defense?
Yeah, I guess so. What's the 3rd thing that's good?
I mean, I still am.
Be able to start a fire.
I guess the reason I say changing the oil is because it's something that forces you to be a bit more manly and it's more involved than changing a tire, but it shows you have some sort of mechanical sense or knowledge about you. I don't know.
I think that a life skill that every guy should know is how to
buy pants,
how to deal with people.
Is that a skill?
I guess it is.
Conversational skills, like.
Well, I was saying that in the beginning. Like, I said know how to be wrong, like know how to say, yeah, I was wrong. But that's not a skill.
I would think, but I mean, like a conversational skills, like knowing
interpersonal skills.
Yeah, like knowing how to talk to people.
Interpersonal skills.
Yeah, like I think that's. And let's be honest, in today's age, that gets slept on a lot, and that's why we got a bunch of
well spoken. Let's say that.
Yeah, and
someone
who's
well spoken.
It gets slept on, and that's why you got a bunch of people who are.
Yeah, you got physical, which is change a tire.
Yeah.
You really stuck on the tire thing.
Yeah, I feel like that. I feel like it's very standard. Like most people, I think most people would say change tire.
Change a tire is a big deal.
I don't think that's that big of a deal.
Yes, but here's the problem.
You live in a day and age.
How many times?
But we're not. You're thinking about a situation, not an emergency situation.
Out of all the times you're gonna get in your car and ride tonight. You're gonna get in your car and ride tonight. You spend so much time in a car. The number one average is that you're gonna get a flat tire.
Okay.
And your wife's gonna get a flat tire.
Okay.
And it's just nice to be able to do that.
It is,
and it's so much quicker than calling AAA.
I understand.
Or calling Geico. They don't do it.
I understand that it's quicker, but because those options are available, I don't think it's as necessary.
Well, all the other options are available too.
Well,
that's what I said. That's why I conceded.
You could also have someone self-defense.
But self-defense, you could hire a bodyguard.
True.
Or buy some sort of whatever thing.
But that would be. But that's what I'm saying is that's you taking action.
I like the 2 physical, and I like interpersonal skills.
I think interpersonal skills, like conversational skills, how to conversate, how
that's
to be
big,
like,
dude.
That's it. Like, and that gets slept on a lot.
That's
today.
more. You use that more than you will self-defense, because hopefully we won't have to use self-defense ever in our life, and hopefully we'll never have to change a tire. But you do use conversational skills every day. And you make a living because of your conversational skills. Because if you are a dud, you're not even getting the job because you're not getting hired.
No, yeah, I'm not fully convinced on the tire thing.
I am.
I'll give it to you, but I think that in today's age, like, I can just use my interpersonal skills to get that done. I know how to do it. I got a flat tire.
He's like, got a flat tire. I think I'm going to stand on the side of the road and put my hands on my hips. Someone's going to stop.
Someone's going to get here. They'll get here eventually.
Did I tell you guys that I got a flat tire at work?
Did you?
And what happened? Did you change it?
I could have changed it, but I'm not allowed.
All right, you're not allowed?
It's a fleet vehicle. So because it's a fleet company vehicle that I got a flat tire in, I have to call the people who we got the fleet vehicle from, Enterprise, and Enterprise has to send somebody out to change the tire.
Did they know how to do it?
He did. He was a weird cat.
I bet.
He was a weird cat. So this guy comes out. He's got this hat on, and it's got like these Russian medals on it.
Oh.
And I go. Those are interesting medals. I go. That's an interesting hat. What's with the medals? He goes, oh, they're Soviet medals. And I go, And I'm like, well,
because I can't stop asking questions now.
So,
and I go,
how do you feel about that?
I go, that's interesting. And he goes, yeah. So, he goes, when I was in college, he's an older guy. He goes, when I was in college, I went and I did some semesters over in Russia. And I go, yeah. He goes, yeah. He's like, I was going to spy on the Russians while I was over there for college. And I go, oh. He goes, but while I was over there, the Cold War ended. So they didn't really need me anymore. And I was like, you don't say. So then he goes, so now what am I going to do? So you know what I did? I was like, I don't. He goes, so then I went to China for 3 years. It's harder to spy on the Chinese, though, because I'm a big white guy.
What's it spying on?
And I was like,
just reporting on random Chinese strangers.
Well, how is he fitting in with the Russians?
I didn't have a mirror, but I can only guess that my face was screaming, dude, I wish I didn't ask. So he starts telling me about how he lived over in China for 3 years, met his wife, was selling stereo systems, like home theater systems that he was selling.
In China?
In China. And then after 3 years, he moved home with his wife to America.
His wife's Chinese, right?
He's trying to spy on the Chinese.
And he said it was hard because he was a tall white guy.
How many Chinese people are buying home entertainment systems?
Well,
I don't think they're doing very well.
No, at that time, he explained it. Trust me, he explained it. At that time, they had just started like home entertainment systems, like theater systems and surround sound speakers and stuff. It just started to kick off. So these rich Chinese like businessmen were like, oh, this is the new big thing. I'm going to go drop a fortune to get this in my house. So that's essentially what he was doing is he was selling
it to all of the political elites.
So yeah, that guy changed my tire, and then
that's on you.
Well, that's really interesting. Like, I was trying to combat the Communist Party by living by the rules of the Communist Party.
Yeah,
that doesn't really seem.
On.
And then he went into a full blown panic mode because I picked up the spare to put in the back of my work car, because I had already gotten an appointment at Pep Boys to get the tire patched and fixed, so I could put the actual tire back on the car. So I pick it up to put it in the back of my car, and I get like the brake pad dust.
Yeah,
on my hands, right? And he panics. He freaks out. He's like, dude, you need to wash your hands right now. I think I have wipes in the car. And I'm like,
it's just brake pad
calm down,
dust.
bro. It's fine. And he was like, no. He's like, you don't understand. Brake pad dust is the biggest carcinogen in the world. He's like, it's like the most leading like thing that'll give you cancer. And like was free. He's like, don't touch your face. Don't touch anywhere else on your skin. You need to go inside. Because I was in a Wawa parking lot. He's like, you need to go inside right now and wash your hands. And I was like,
and you licked your hands.
I did not lick my hand. No, but I was like,
you know how many mechanics are actively touching brake dust every single day of their lives?
Yeah. Now,
he knows something they don't do.
Now, to bring it back full circle to the question that we were talking about, I know how to change a tire. I can only tell you how absolutely frustrated and so angry I was that it took 3 hours for a guy to drive out there and change my tire for me so that I could just go home. When I could have done it, I could have just done it. But instead I had to sit there because it's a fleet vehicle. They were like, well, we don't want you doing it. We have to send somebody
So they rent it from Enterprise?
We have our fleet vehicles from Enterprise.
Huh.
So whenever like mechanical stuff has to be done,
I mean, does that save money?
Well, I'm sure they've figured it out.
I guess.
There was a lady who got a flat tire near one of our job sites, and I went over to change her tire. Poor lady with a minivan, and she drove over like roadkill and a bone stuck in her tire.
It happens.
So I changed her tire, and she had called her husband, and he was coming down. So by the time he got there, I'd already changed it. And apparently he works for Coastal, who does all the stone for.
Wait, it just clicked what you said.
Coastal Homes
bone stuck.
A piece of bone from roadkill.
Coastal Homes, like Dave Wilson.
Coastal. No, it's like the stone people who do the stone.
I don't know.
Anyways, the guy came and I had already fixed it, whatever. He was really happy, and they left. And then he drove back by, looked for me, and he gave me $40 for changing his wife's tire. And then I just saw him a few weeks ago, and he came to me and said, "Hey man, I want to thank you again for doing that." And I'm like, "How are ya?" And he's like, "You changed my wife's tire." I was like, "Oh, cool, yeah."
All right, so you said something about giving me $40. You never did that. I don't know what the.
I will. I'm coming around to the tire thing, but not the tire thing.
I'm on it.
I will say that I think it's probably a good idea for a guy to know general knowledge on how to maintain his vehicle.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not just changing a tire, but like knowing how to change the oil, if like,
knowing how to check trans fluid and change air filter.
Yeah, and get all that stuff done. Now, like I don't know anything about like alternators.
There's so many good skills that knowing how to cut down a tree.
Yeah.
Like that's a good skill.
A man should know how to change the alternator on a minivan.
You don't just these guys who go up to these houses.
When have you personally needed that skill though?
I've cut down so many trees, dude. Our house was heated.
You built it with your own hands.
No, my dad's house was heated with wood stove. So every year we cut down trees every year of my life.
Oh.
And so, but my point is, you see these guys who like you live at a house that has a tree growing right next to it and it's leaning over. Like these guys come in there, climb up the tree, and
yeah,
it's amazing watching those guys. I'm saying there's so many cool skills that
I only see the videos where trees fall on houses. Well, guys are like trying to cut them down, and
but then you look at the people who are doing it, and it's like the neighbor. So that explains it.
Those videos what made me laugh. They're like, all right, it's gonna fall this way. It's just like,
it falls off, it like twists off, and just the guy
lands on his
obviously
car.
A very chuck in a truck situation because the guy.
Dude, trees would be like tripping though. I mean, these things, it looks like it's like fully leaning, and then when it finally breaks, it like rolls and twists and then falls back.
No doubt, right?
So all trees at one point were Ents.
What?
You don't get it. Lord of the Rings.
I get it.
The
Lord
tree.
Of the Ents.
No, Lord of the Rings. The Ents were the tree people.
Yeah.
ENTS. Ents.
Why don't you give us the gospel and get us out of here?
Listen. The Bible says.
For humans.
Huh?
That was the episode of questions for humans.
That was good.
Another question for humans is how do I get
the question that you might have for humans is how do I get to heaven, or what does it mean to be saved, or what is the pinnacle point of the Bible? And let me tell you, the Bible says, "Sirs, what must I do to be saved? Believe in the Lord Jesus Christ, and thou shalt be saved." So, I mean, that's it. The gospel in a nutshell. It's not works. It's not baptism. It is faith and trust alone in Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior. Amen and amen.
All right, guys. Thanks for listening. You know what to do.
Calm down.
It's fine.
It's fine.
I don't know why I did that.
I don't know why I flinched. Hey there, comrades. Thanks for tuning in to the Calm Down, It's Fine podcast. If you liked what you heard this episode, be sure to like and subscribe on YouTube and share that link. We want to get the episode out. We want as many new listeners as we can, and we want the old listeners to keep coming back. So be sure to like and subscribe. Find us on social media at CDIF Podcast. If you want to donate to the show, you can find the link to do so in the description below. So thanks again for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.